Hey coin lovers! Welcome back to the channel where we uncover the value of your coins and dive into the fascinating stories behind them. Today, we're going way back to a very special coin in American coinage history, the 1965 Liberty Quarter Dollar. If you've got one lying around or you found it in your change, stick around, this coin might be worth more than you think. Let's take a step back in time. Before 1965, U.S. quarters were made of 90% silver and 10% copper. But in 1965, due to a severe nationwide coin shortage and rising silver prices, the U.S. Mint made a big change. They stopped using silver in quarters. This marked the birth of the clad composition, which is what most of our coins today are made of. So, the 1965 quarter was the first U.S. quarter to be struck in the new composition, a copper-nickel clad layered over a pure copper core. Even though the metal changed, the design remained the same. On the obverse front, we see the familiar image of George Washington, originally designed by John Flanagan in 1932. The word Liberty is inscribed above his head, "In God We Trust," on the left, and the year 1965 at the bottom. On the reverse, we see the bald eagle with outstretched wings, perched on arrows and surrounded by olive branches, with the inscriptions United States of America, E Pluribus Unum, and Quarter Dollar. Here's an interesting fact. There are no mint marks on the 1965 quarter. That's because the U.S. Mint temporarily stopped using mint marks between 1965 and 1967 to discourage coin hoarding. Also, because of the transition, many people still check their 1965 quarters, hoping to find one made of silver. But let's be clear, there are no known official silver 1965 quarters, although a few rare errors and experimental strikes have appeared in silver planchets, and those can be worth a fortune. Alright, let's get to what most of you are here for. The value of a 1965 quarter in circulated condition. Because over 1.8 billion quarters were minted in 1965, it's one of the most common U.S. quarters. So, if your coin is heavily circulated, that means it's worn down, has scratches, or lost its sharp details. It's generally worth only face value, or 25 cents. Footage or photo examples of high-grade 1965 quarters. If your 1965 quarter is in uncirculated condition, that means it looks nearly brand new. Then it can fetch $2 to $10, depending on the grade. Now, if it has a high grade from a service like PCGS or NGC, especially MS65 or higher, you might get $20 to $75** or more at auction. But the real jackpot comes from error coins. Some rare 1965 quarters were accidentally struck on silver planchets left over from 1964. These transitional error coins are extremely rare and can sell for $3,000 to $7,000 or even more, depending on condition. Another error to watch for is the double die obverse, where the lettering or design appears doubled. These can be worth hundreds of dollars, depending on visibility and condition. Want to check if your 1965 quarter is one of the rare silver ones? Here's a quick tip: look at the edge *** of the coin. If you see a solid silver edge, no copper stripe, you might have a silver planchet error. If you see the copper core, a reddish-brown color sandwiched between two silver layers, then it's the common clad version. So, to sum it up, the 1965 Liberty Quarter is a milestone coin in U.S. history. While most of them in circulated condition are worth only 25 cents, a few high-grade or error coins can bring you a nice profit. It's always worth checking your change. The year 1965 was a turning point in U.S. coinage history. Before that year, quarters were made of 90% silver and 10% copper, giving them not only spending power but intrinsic metal value as well. But by the early 1960s, the value of silver started rising rapidly, and people began hoarding coins, especially silver dimes, quarters, and half dollars, believing they would soon be worth more than their face value. This led to a nationwide coin shortage. The U.S. Treasury and the Federal Reserve struggled to keep enough coins in circulation. To solve the problem, Congress passed the Coinage Act of 1965, which eliminated silver from circulating dimes and quarters and reduced the silver content in half dollars. The new solution. A more affordable and practical clad composition. The new quarter, introduced in 1965, featured a layered structure, a core of pure copper sandwiched between two outer layers of copper-nickel alloy, 75% copper, 25% nickel. This design maintained a silvery appearance while drastically reducing costs. Interestingly, during this time of transition, the U.S. Mint stopped placing mint marks on coins from 1965 to 1967. This was done to discourage collectors from hoarding coins based on mint location, which had become common practice. Although the design of the 1965 quarter stayed the same, featuring George Washington on the obverse and a heraldic eagle on the reverse, it represented a major shift, the end of silver coinage for everyday use in terms of mintage. The U.S. Mint struck over 1.8 billion quarters in 1965, making it one of the most heavily produced quarters ever. This high production helped to stabilize the coin supply, but also meant that most 1965 quarters are still common today. However, a small number of 1,965 quarters were accidentally struck on 1964 silver planchets, creating rare transitional errors that are now highly sought after by collectors. So, while the average 1965 quarter might not be worth much more than face value, its historical significance lies in marking the beginning of the modern clad coinage era in the United States. 1977 Liberty Quarter Dollar ***, a coin that might just be hiding in your pocket change right now. Let's explore whether this 25-cent piece is worth more than face value today. The Liberty Quarter you see from 1977 is officially known as the Washington Quarter, named after George Washington, the first president of the United States. This design was first introduced in 1932 to honor Washington's 200th birthday, and it was so well received that it stayed on the quarter for decades. The 1977 version falls into the category of clad quarters, which were made after the U.S. Mint stopped using silver in circulating coins in 1965. On the front of the coin, we see a left-facing portrait of George Washington. Above his head is the word Liberty, and just below his chin is the year, 1977. You'll also notice the motto, "In God We Trust," on the left. The reverse features a proud American eagle with wings spread out, perched on a bundle of arrows with olive branches below. It includes the words, United States of America, E Pluribus Unum, and quarter dollar. The 1977 quarter is made of copper-nickel clad, with a pure copper core. It weighs 5.67 grams and has a reeded edge. These coins were mass-produced for everyday use. So, how many were made? Quite a lot. Philadelphia Mint, no mint mark, ***, 468,556,000. Denver Mint, D mint mark, ***, 256,524,978. No quarters were made in San Francisco for circulation in 1977. That's over 725 million quarters minted in total. No wonder you can still find these coins in circulation today. If you've got a 1977 quarter that's been in circulation, it'll show signs of wear. Maybe some dullness, scratches, or faded detail. These are usually only worth 25 cents. Now, if you've got one in mint state, meaning it was never used in everyday transactions, the value goes up. Always check under magnification. You never know if you've got a rare error hiding in plain sight. So yes, most 1977 quarters are still only worth face value, but if you've got one in pristine condition or with a rare error, you might be holding something much more valuable. That's it for today's episode about the 1977 Liberty Quarter Dollar. Now it's your turn. Check your coin jars, piggy banks, and drawers. Who knows what treasures you might find? Let's take a look at the history behind the 1977 Liberty Quarter Dollar, also known as the Washington Quarter. This coin story begins way back in 1932, during the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth. That year, the U.S. Mint wanted to honor America's first president with a new quarter design. Initially, it was meant to be a one-year commemorative issue, replacing the standing Liberty Quarter. But the public loved the new design so much that it became the permanent design for the quarter, and it's been on the coin ever since, with only a few changes over the decades. From 1932 until 1964, quarters were made of 90% silver. But due to rising silver prices and coin hoarding in the 1960s, the U.S. Mint made a major change. Starting in 1965, quarters were no longer struck in silver. Instead, they used a new copper-nickel clad composition, which is what the 1977 quarter is made of. By the mid-1970s, the U.S. economy was growing, and more coins were needed for daily commerce. That's why the mints in Philadelphia and Denver produced hundreds of millions of quarters in 1977, a time when Americans were using physical cash far more than digital transactions. Unlike some other years, there were no special bicentennial designs or silver-proof versions issued in 1977 for circulation. These were regular business strike coins, made to be spent, used, and sometimes forgotten in drawers. The Washington Quarter design by John Flanagan became one of the most iconic American coins. It remained mostly unchanged until 1999, when the U.S. Mint launched the 50-state quarters program, starting a whole new chapter in U.S. coin collecting. While the 1977 quarter might seem ordinary today, it represents a key era in American coinage, a time of transition, innovation, and mass production. And who knows? If you find one in great shape or with a rare error, it might just be a little piece of history worth keeping. Today, we're diving deep into one of the most talked about coins from the 1980s, the 1983 Liberty Quarter Dollar. You may have seen one in your collection or in change. But do you know how much it could really be worth? Stick around, because this isn't just any quarter. There's a hidden story, minting quirks, and serious collector interest behind this coin. Let's jump right in. First, let's talk about its background. The 1983 Liberty Quarter is part of the Washington Quarter Series, which began in 1932, honoring the first U.S. President, George Washington. The obverse, or front, shows the bust of Washington with the word Liberty inscribed above, and In God We Trust on the left. The reverse design, used until 1998, shows an eagle with outspread wings perched on a bundle of arrows, a classic American symbol. But here's what makes the 1983 quarter extra interesting. The U.S. Mint did not produce any uncirculated mint sets in 1982 or 1983. That means collectors don't have mint state coins directly from the U.S. Mint for those years. All surviving high-grade 1983 quarters came from circulation, and that's why they're so sought after today. The 1983 quarter was minted in two locations: Philadelphia Mint, no mint mark; Denver Mint ***, marked with a small D on the front, just right of Washington's ponytail. Here are the official mintage numbers: Philadelphia ***, over 673 million coins; Denver ***, over 617 million coins. That's over 1.2 billion quarters. Sounds like a lot, right? But here's the catch. Because of how heavily these coins were circulated, finding a 1983 quarter in excellent condition today is rare. Now to the big question. How much is a circulated 1983 Liberty Quarter really worth today? For most worn quarters from 1983, the value is 25 cents, just face value. But if your coin is in better condition, say, lightly circulated with sharp details, then collectors will pay more. Here's a quick breakdown. If you have a high-grade mint state, MS65 or above, 1983 quarter, especially from the Philadelphia Mint, it could be worth $40 to $200 depending on strike and luster. These mint errors are rare, and if your 1983 quarter has one, it could be worth $20 to even $100 plus. Depending on how dramatic the error is, here's the key takeaway. Because there were no U.S. mint sets in 1983, and because these quarters were so heavily used in commerce mint state, examples are hard to find ***. That drives up demand among collectors. If you find a shiny, sharp 1983 quarter in your change, don't spend it. Put it aside, check the details, and maybe even get it graded. Oh, there you have it. The 1983 Liberty Quarter is more than just another coin. It's a relic of a unique year in U.S. coinage history. Check your pockets. Go through your old change jars. You might be holding a valuable piece of history. The 1984 Liberty Quarter Dollar, a coin that might just be hiding in your pocket or coin jar right now. So grab your old change and let's uncover the value, history, and secrets of this fascinating circulated coin. The Liberty Quarter Dollar, more commonly known as the Washington Quarter, has been a cornerstone of U.S. currency since 1932. That year marked the 200th birthday of America's first president, George Washington, and this coin was designed to honor his legacy. Fast forward to 1984, and the Washington Quarter was still going strong. It features a left-facing portrait of George Washington, designed by John Flanagan. Above his head, you'll see the word Liberty, and to the left, the famous motto, In God We Trust. The date, 1984, sits proudly at the bottom. In the reverse, we see an impressive image of a bald eagle with wings spread, clutching arrows, with olive branches beneath, symbolizing the balance of war and peace. Above, it reads, United States of America, and below, the denomination, quarter dollar. Back in 1984, over 1.2 billion of these quarters were minted for circulation, with production split between Philadelphia, no mint mark, and Denver, marked with a. Let us take a quick look at how many were produced. Philadelphia Mint, no mint mark, about 676 million coins. Denver Mint, D mint mark ***, around 546 million coins. There were no proof coins minted in Philadelphia or Denver. Those were produced only in San Francisco with an ESP mint mark, but they were not meant for circulation. Now for the big question, how much is your 1984 Liberty Quarter worth today in circulated condition? If you've got a regular 1984 quarter from your pocket change, its face value is 25 cents, and that's what it's worth in most cases. Unless you have a coin in better condition or with rare errors, here's where things get interesting. Some 1984 quarters have minting errors, and those can be worth serious money. Off-center strikes partial designs, worth $10 to $100 plus depending on the severity. Double die obverse, DDO, where letters or numbers appear doubled. If you find one, collectors could pay $50 to $200 or more. Clipped planchets missing edges from the coin blank can sell for $20 to $75. Strike-through errors ***. If something got between the die and planchet during minting, it leaves a unique mark. These can fetch $30 to several $100s, depending on rarity. Never clean your coin. Cleaning can destroy its value. Collectors want originality, even if it's dirty or dull. So if you think you found a valuable 1984 quarter, leave it as is. The 1984 Liberty Quarter might not seem like a treasure at first glance, but in the right condition or with a rare error, it could be worth far more than 25 cents. Even if it's not worth a fortune, it represents an era of American history, craftsmanship, and heritage. Oh, the next time you get change at the store, keep your eyes open. Your next coin find could be a hidden gem. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you never miss a coin story from Yamara. And let us know in the comments. Have you ever found a rare 1984 quarter? Or maybe one with an error? Thanks for watching, and as always, happy collecting!